Welcome to the Small Business Made Simple podcast, brought to you by socialmediaandmarketing.com.au. Being in business is never easy, but it can be simple, or at least simpler. Join me, your host Jen Donovan, every week where we focus on marketing, social media, and working towards simplifying your business. You with me? Let's do this.
Gonna dream it big, 'cause someone out there listening. Everyone's got a voice to give, and it's time I heard you whistling, 'cause there's no point at all, in dreaming small,
Well, hey there. Hello, my fabulous listener. Welcome to episode 169 of the Small Business Made Simple podcast. We haven't got long left in 2021. I am winding out the year with final podcasts now. Thank you for tuning in today. I really do appreciate it. I know you've got lots of choices with podcasts, so I appreciate you making me one of them. If you're enjoying this podcast, I'd love you to take a screenshot and tag me in your socials so I can get to know you and cheer you on, and just get social on social. That would be super cool if you've got time to do that. And of course, if you've got extra time, you can leave me a rating and a review wherever you're listening to this podcast. That would mean the world to me as well. Before I forget, if you would like to see the show notes for this podcast, you can find them at all the W's, social media and marketing.com.au/169. As Christmas gets closer, I'd love you to consider supporting rural and regional small businesses this year by heading over to my other business, which is called Spend With Us. So all the W's, spendwithus.com.au. Christmas is pretty close at the time of recording this podcast. So what we have over there is a site-wide e-gift card, which is delivered almost immediately to the recipient's inbox. There's about 1,300 small businesses you can support over there, and I think there's about 18,000 products to choose from. So that would be amazing to get a gift voucher from there. We can also personalise your gift vouchers if you would like. You just have to contact us at support@spendwithus.com.au and we can get that organised. So simple. At the time of recording this podcast, I am winding up 2021. Or am I winding down? I think I'm winding it up, but winding myself down. Tonight, which will be in retrospect for you as you're listening to this, is my last night for my hub. So my hub is a small business, women in business, small business hub, which is basically a group of local business women, and we get together once a month and we talk business. We talk marketing, we talk staff, we talk about the ebbs and the flows of business. We solve business problems, just about everything you would expect from amazing business women. So sadly but excitedly that I will be winding that up for 2021 tonight. And if you're local to me around the Yarrawonga, Moala, Albury, Wodonga, Wangaratta, all those sorts of areas, and you want to be involved in this amazing group that I've been running, I think for 4 years now, then just send me a DM and let's have a bit of a chat about whether or not you would be a good fit for that group or whether we would be a good fit for you. But each meeting we follow a little formula, and today, to finish up the year or to start winding down for the year, I thought it'd be a really good chance to share that little formula that we do once a month, and we can work through it virtually via my podcast. So the first thing we do every month is we celebrate the small stuff or the big stuff, doesn't matter, but we talk about them as champagne moments. So what are the things you need to celebrate that you achieved this year? Big things, little things, microscopically small things. It doesn't matter. They all need to be celebrated. The one thing that I think small business owners forget to do is celebrate the small stuff. So I'm on a bit of a mission in 2022 to make sure you do celebrate the small stuff. So you'll hear me talk a lot more about champagne moments. But let's make a list. Physically make a list. Don't just make a virtual one inside your head, but give yourself some space and make a list of all the things you achieved in business or in life in 2021. If you make a physical list, I think it'll show you how amazing you are, how amazing you actually are, rather than just thinking, meh, I didn't do much, meh, I didn't achieve much, because I know you did. You've made it this far, and therefore I am positive there is loads to celebrate. Again, doesn't matter what size this thing, it can be microscopically small, but it needs to be celebrated. So the second thing we talk about every meeting is what worked. So obviously we're doing this every month. It's kind of like what worked this month when it comes to your marketing, when it comes to your business, etc., etc. So let's talk about it with you. What worked in your business this year? What did you try that was new? Or what did you keep doing that worked for you? Now, because we are discussing business, I guess what worked normally equates to money, as in what profit did it bring in, or what money did it bring in, or perhaps it was a really great lead generator that helped grow your list or your network. Maybe that's something. Maybe that's the what you would call success, or what you would call worked in 2021. It doesn't have to be one of those things for it to work for you. So you do you, but basically what worked this year inside your business. For me, what worked was networking, growing my network, and giving before I ask. Giving before I ask is actually a philosophy that I live by, both in my business life but also in my personal life. But this year, I have to tell you, I did it a little more strategically. And I don't want to take away from the fact that I did give before I asked. I just had, I guess, I had some goals set against giving. So basically, I had key performance indicators against, what success would look like by giving the way I did. So I gave for free, upfront, enormous value. Like, if you paid me to do what I did, it would have cost you around $10,000, but I did it upfront for free, and I built my network out of it. And I have to say, it's paid itself back in work twofold in 2022. So yes, I gave enormous value for free, but because I did it strategically with a plan, it's actually come back to me twofold, which is absolutely awesome. So that is, of course, what worked for me. What worked for you? Again, let's write it down. And I guess as it's the end of the year, if it did work in 2021, are you going to do it again in 2022? Maybe tweak it and test it again, but are you going to do it again as part of your business strategy? I only ask this because sometimes we do things that work, like really work, but we didn't enjoy doing them, or we can't continue to do it. It's just not possible to keep doing things like that. So for that reason, we won't continue them in 2022. So is there anything that did work really well, but isn't going to be on your plan for 2022? And if not, why not? So the next question, perhaps a little bit obviously, is what didn't work? What did you do in 2021 that simply didn't work? It doesn't mean it failed. Of course, if you've listened to me for any amount of time, you know that failure just isn't an option. When things don't work, we learn enormous lessons for those. So, but perhaps it just didn't work out the way you planned, or it worked but took too much of a focus in order to make it work, or maybe it actually did just flop. So you've just learned from that. So again, write your list. What didn't work in 2021? And when you've got that list, will you tweak it, test it, and measure it again in 2022, or just shelve it? So just because it didn't work this year doesn't mean it's never going to work. So are you going to put more effort and energy into it this year and make it work next year? Or are you just going to shelve it and go, you know what, that was a really great experiment, but I ain't doing that again? What didn't work for me was my mastermind programs, and I know that I've spoken about this a couple of times. I ran one very successful one in February of 2021, but then kind of fell off the boat after that. I just didn't have my heart in it to do them again. I was really conscious of what was happening in the world around me and the pressures, and I just never seemed to come up with the energy that was needed in order to put myself out there to run more mastermind programs. And then the year just kind of escaped me. I can't explain it any other way. It was kind of like I came up for water and we were in October, and then it was a little bit too late in the year to be doing that sort of thing. And if I'm really honest with you, hand on heart, I'd say I was a little bit comfortable this year. That would be my biggest reflection back on this year, is I got comfortable doing what I was doing and didn't sort of push myself. So 2022, I am pushing Jenny Donovan to the point where we are going to do things that are uncomfortable. And I really hope that you join me with that. Because again, great things happen outside comfort zones. I think for many of us, including myself, I thought at the end of 2020 was the end of COVID. Now, I know how silly that sounds right now, given the year that we've had, but, you know, excuse me, I was really confident that we had this thing beat, and was totally surprised and really quite astonished that I think 2021 was worse for so many people around me. And I think that really threw me, and possibly threw a lot of people in my community as well. But 2022, I will be 100% running masterminds, again with fingers, toes, arms and legs crossed, hoping that they might even have a face-to-face element to them, because that would light me up to think that not everything had to be virtual next year. So now you have your list of things to celebrate, your champagne moments, what worked and what didn't work. So of course, what's next is next. So what's next? What does 2022 look like for you? The seriously big, hairy, audacious plans that you have, and even the smaller things that you have. This is how we finish off our monthly sessions in my hub group. As I mentioned, you know, we set the goals for the month ahead. But of course, now I'm sort of talking about the year ahead. What are the goals for the year ahead that you have? If you're not sure what 2022 is going to look like, reflect on your list of what worked and what didn't, and put some emotions around that list too. That could really help you sort of work out strategically what the year ahead's going to look like. Like, what didn't work for me, I know why it didn't work. I know exactly why the things that didn't work in my business, you know, besides masterminds, but other things that didn't work as well. I know why they didn't work. And therefore I know how to make them work, or perhaps some of them I don't want them to work. But, you know, for the things that I really want to do, even though they didn't work out in 2021, I know I can make them work, and therefore they're going back on the 2022 goal list. Other things that worked, not necessarily, you know, on the 2022 list, you know, they mightn't be there because it's a different year. It's got to be a different year. Seriously, it just has to be a different year. But, you know, my Zoom networking calls and sessions and you know, all the work that I've done this year on Zoom, I really hope that next year there's less Zoom and more face-to-face. And it's certainly looking like that already. I think between February and June next year, I think I already have something like 12 bookings for face-to-face workshops. So I'm so excited about that, to be out and about and speaking and getting in front of real life people again. But look, if you don't quite know what 2022 is going to look like, then I've got something for you. I've got a planning session planned in January. Normally I do planning sessions at the end of the year, but look, I'm really over this year and I'm really tired, and I certainly can see that and hear that in my community as well. We are all a little bit exhausted, and therefore I thought, you know, strategically, I thought about 6 weeks ago, you know what, I'm not going to run a planning session in December. I'm going to run a planning session in mid-January. I'm going to let all of my community have some downtime, not think about, you know, what they have to think about for 2022, have a good rest, come back into January in 2022 and get planning then. So if you really would love to do a planning workshop with me, I would love to have you. So the planning session will happen virtually, so via Zoom, on Monday the 17th of January from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. So 90 minutes of planning with me where I'll walk you through how to set your goals. Let's set up the goals for 2022. Your annual goals, your quarterly goals, monthly goals, and maybe even your weekly goals, depending on how you actually plan and how, minute you want to make your plans. We walk through step by steps, ways to discover your goals and plan out exactly how you are going to get there. Like I said, it's a 90-minute session via Zoom with me leading it and doing it with you more than likely. You can have a chance to have a chat and run some ideas past me during the session, as well as all the other superstars that will be on the call, and just ensure that your plan for 2022 is done. Let's hit the ground running in 2022 and make sure that we have our goals set. What do we want from 2022? And it doesn't mean that, once you set them, forget them. And so that's part of it is, how you're actually going to use these goals as you go through in the year, and where to look for changes and things like that. But if you're interested in joining this virtual planning session, the cost will be $37 plus GST. And the first 5 people to join will actually get a free 30-minute session with me as well, where we can go through your goals and make sure they're on track. And they're going to get you to really what you want at the end, this time next year at the end of 2022. You can book that session by going to the link bit.ly/virtual planning day 2022. And sign up there, or read all the information and see if it's something that you would like to do, because I would really love to see you on there. And I think we definitely need a planning session for 2022. So following on from there will be a second workshop. So the second workshop is all about creating a 90-day marketing plan and get that done and dusted. And it's based on the goals that you set for yourself. You don't have to attend both workshops, but they definitely run into each other. So this one, even if you don't attend the planning day, you would have to have had planned out your goals before attending this session. It will be on Thursday, the 20th of January from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. And of course, all these times are Sydney time or New South Wales time. But get your plan, get your content planned for 90 days. Whether it be social media content, email marketing content, your blog or your podcast content, it doesn't matter. It's a content planning session. And the idea is that you take your goals and you put them into a plan, and then you plan your content around those goals so that at the end of the 90 days, you have managed to reach some of your goals you had set, or you're well and truly on track to reach some of your annual goals that you have set for 2022. No more thinking, what to post on social media or what to email. Get the plan, follow the plan, and reach your goals. It's really quite simple. It's not easy, but it's definitely simple. So if you're keen to have 90 days of content planned in January with me, and to be honest, once you've planned 90 days of content, there is so much in there that you can repurpose for the next 90 days and the next 90 days. So it's almost like having most of your year's content planned out. We're just doing it in a chunk of 90 days. You might need to tinker with it in the following quarter, but how brilliant would that be to think that you have the majority of your content plan for the whole year just by planning out the first 90 days of your content. If you want to sign up for that 90-minute session, then just go to bit.ly/content planning 2022. Again, the cost will be $37 plus GST. And the first 5 people who sign up will get a 30-minute Zoom chat with me in January so that we can go through the goals and the plan that you've set and make sure that they correlate, and make sure that what your content that you are planning to do will actually help you reach your goals at the end of 2022. So I really hope that you would like to come along and join those workshops. They're well and truly worth it at 7:30. Oh my goodness, I've lost my words. They're well and truly worth it at $37 each. I'm sure that you can appreciate that price as well. If you're a little bit confused about all the links, just go to Instagram and go to my bio and click the link in my bio, and you can see both the links there as well. So don't stress too much if you are walking or if you are, in the car or something like that and you haven't got time to write down the links. You will find them on my Instagram at @JenDonovan_. But otherwise, of course, just send me a DM or, send me an email, jen@jendonovan.com.au. More than happy to have a bit of a chat with you over there. But let's do this. Let's do 2022 and let's start it together. Oh my God, let's just do this. I'm so anxious for the year to start and get into it. I'm super excited. But that's it for me for episode 169. I'd love you to come and join the conversation in the Like-Minded Business Owners group if you're not already in there. And if you are in there, come and say hey. I'd love to learn a little bit more about what you're going to do. Maybe how you're going to wind down. Maybe we could all need some tips and tricks on how to wind down. Episode 170 will land on Christmas Eve. Yes, that's a thing. And so it will be a really short and sharp one, as will the one that's going to land just before the year ends. So 2 more episodes after this one. I'm not going to take a break from podcasting. I just love my community and I want to be there for my community, but they will be short, sharp episodes. So I hope that you will keep tuning in, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. But of course, you know what? If you listen to me on double speed, I will take up even less of your time. But I want to be there for you and cheer you on, even though we are heading into the end of the year. I'm here for you. So get in contact. I am actually here for you. 2022 is going to be my year and I'd love to share it with you and make it your year too. I will see you next week, of course, on episode 170. But if we're not hanging out on social already, let's get social on social. Find me on Instagram at @JenDonovan_, Facebook, Like-Minded Business Owners, and of course, my favorite place to hang out is LinkedIn. You will find me over there at Jen Donovan. But whatever you do, remember, my small business peeps, as my opening song says, there is no point in dreaming small.
No time like the present. Tell it like you feel it, say it proud, be true, and let us see you for the star that you are. No point in dreaming small.
I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land, the Yorta Yorta people, on which I record this podcast and conduct my business today, and pay my respects to their elders, past and present. I extend this respect to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here with us today as well.